Well, as if we didn't have enough big news, President Trump will announce his Supreme Court nominee next Thursday, we're hearing. That is February 2nd, conveniently Groundhog Day. We're going to see the same thing over and over and over again, one can opine. Namely, that is a nominee blocked by the opposition party, just like Republicans did to Merrick Garland last year. Didn't even block him, didn't even have a hearing for him. But anyway, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says that Democrats will try to squash the president's pick if he or she is deemed too extreme. Here is the New York senator.
If the nominee is not bipartisan and mainstream, we absolutely would keep the seat open. I'm hopeful that maybe President Trump would nominate someone who is mainstream and who could get bipartisan support. We shall see. But if they don't, yes, we'll fight it tooth and nail.
And they can do it because he needs 60 votes to confirm in the Senate. Now, 3 names, probably, have emerged as likely picks. Federal Appeals Court Judge Neil Gorsuch, he's an originalist in the mold of one Antonin Scalia, which means he strictly adheres to the original meaning of the Constitution. Another name, Federal Judge William Pryor. He worked for Jeff Sessions. He's just as conservative as the Attorney General nominee on many issues. Then there is Judge Thomas Hardiman. He's been a law and order guy with a conservative record when it comes to issues of guns, police searches, criminal justice overall. I want to bring in our panel right now and get their take. Jim Kasuris, criminal defense attorney in Manhattan, sitting on the board of directors of the New York City Criminal Bar Association, frequently lecturing at New York Law School and the bar associations in both Queens and Manhattan. And Bill Aronwald. Bill's a defense attorney, former assistant U.S. attorney in his own right. Before we get to the politics, let's remind everybody where we sit, because I think people forget and don't follow this. We have a 4-4 court right now. And not only do we have an empty seat, but it is completely divided almost always on partisan lines. Moreover, that 9th seat that everybody thought would have been filled with about a year to go in President Obama's term, it never happened. We all know what happened, and more than anything, Merrick Garland, though seemingly infinitely qualified for the job and seemed to be moderate in many senses in terms of a jurist, was not even given a hearing, let alone couldn't get confirmed. So with all that political baggage, with all the stakes attached to the 9th seat, we now have a situation where a week and a half into his administration, Trump's going to put up a name. You heard what Schumer says. I got to think, for all the craziness we've seen in the first 4 days, I just articulated with the congressman, that's an hors d'oeuvre to the fights that we're going to see right now. Just how contentious do you think this is going to get?
Well, hopefully the Democrats will follow Michelle Obama's advice and say, when they go low, we go high. I mean, basically, I would hate to see the Democrats emulate what McConnell and the Republicans did. Basically, they shirked their constitutional responsibility by not entertaining or considering President Obama's nominee, because the Constitution says that he makes the nomination and they're required to advise and consent. They refuse to do that. I think that of the 3 people that are being circulated, I think that Pryor is going to invite a lot of opposition, even maybe among the Republicans themselves. He is so extreme. But there again, it's, you're looking at the intricacies.
And that, as I understand it, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, is because he actually took a position on a transgender rights case that a lot of people on the right found abhorrent, and apparently there was an open email thread that people got their hands on, so there's getting some pushback from the right. But if you look at his other rulings, I mean, this guy's, I don't think he knew the word moderate, let alone would be considered.
But here's what's interesting about this. You got to understand, Sessions has been confirmed as the Attorney General, right? Pryor used to clerk for Sessions and succeeded him as Attorney General. And the Justice Department appears before the Supreme Court. The Solicitor General argues cases on behalf of the Justice Department before the Supreme Court. Wouldn't it be great if you're arguing a case where you've got a guy in the Supreme Court, that 9th seat, who has got this kind of a relationship with Sessions? So,
and agrees with everything he says.
Agrees with everything.
Pretty much.
And he hasn't been confirmed, but to Bill's point, widely expected that he will be formally confirmed in short order. Right. Remind everybody what we're talking about, because it's not just a seat, it's the swing seat. And talk about some of the cases, potentially, that could come before this high court in short order.
Well, the most notable being Roe versus Wade. And I agree with Bill, but I don't have much hope. I don't think anybody's going high or low here. I think this is going to be a very contentious situation. I do not think that it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be drawn out. Look, President Trump has said he's going to nominate somebody that's going to overrule Roe versus Wade. So that's what he's looking for, and the names that he puts up, that's what the Democrats are going to focus on. When you have a justice like Pryor who says that Roe versus Wade, and I quote, is the worst abomination of constitutional law in history, he's not mincing words. So it is going to be contentious. And you're going to have myriad issues that are going to come before the Supreme Court. But in my view, Roe versus Wade is going to be the most important case and the focus of the nominee.
And Trump's given mixed message on that, because Jimmy's right, he said that, but he's also said he considers it established law of the land and he wouldn't want anyone on it.
Well, that's the problem. I mean,
Depends on the day.
It's very difficult to basically get any Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, given what the justices who decided Roe v. Wade wrote as the basis for it. The facts haven't changed. Nothing has changed. The same underlying circumstances. I disagree with Jim. I think where the ninth seat becomes more important is on issues that have not been established as law. For example, Second Amendment issues, gun rights issues. There are other issues which are cutting-edge issues which have not been squarely confronted by the Supreme Court. That's where this, with the swing vote, becomes so important.
One of the things, and I think privacy issues certainly in the digital age will come up as well, but one of the things that keeps coming up, and we've seen this in the aftermath of this, I don't even know what you call this election and where we are right now, but we're having 50 different rules. Now, we always have had states' rights. This is not a new thing. I grant you that. But take the legalization of marijuana. You have different states in this country that formally voted on it. They went to the electorate. They decided. And the prior administration, Justice Department, decided not to enforce federal law, if you will, and let the states do their own thing. I'm hearing, for example, in Utah, and I think in Texas maybe, that they're talking about not only passing, but now enforcement anti-indecency laws, where pornography now will be outlawed in states altogether. So some states will have one set of rules, think of the coasts, and then certain other states in the red portions will have completely different things. We're almost having two completely different sets of justice. I didn't remember it being this polarized.
Because the polarization is now up for grabs. So you're going to have states that are going to push the envelope as far as they can because they think that they're going to have a president and a federal judiciary that's going to stand by them. And while I agree with Bill that there are more important and unestablished laws out there, the politicization of this issue is going to focus on Roe versus Wade because the opinions of these justices on these other issues, you're going to hear things like, I'm going to abide by the law, I'm going to read everything. If it's well established, I have to respect it. It's all going to focus on their views on Roe.
Let me make a prediction, okay?
Here we go. I'm writing it down, Bill.
You have the full faith and credit clause of the United States Constitution, which requires every state to give full faith and credit to the laws of sister states. President Trump has already said that he wants to establish a national gun rights law. So if you have a license to carry a firearm in the state of New York, then that should be recognized in every other state in the country and vice versa.
And just to take that one step further, Bill, imagine in the state of Arizona where you're not only allowed to own an AR-15, but you're allowed to carry it in public. If you get that gun and have that license in Arizona, theoretically, you should be able to walk down Central Park right with an assault weapon on your shoulder.
And this is something that has never been squarely presented to the Supreme Court. Now, there are some states, like Florida and other states, for example, where they do have reciprocity with a number of other states, but it's voluntary on the part of each state.
Just think, an issue I spoke about with the congressman, sanctuary cities, right?
Yeah.
Where does the city's rights start and stop? They're talking about restaurants, and think about all the different industries in this country that rely on this labor force here. When does it stop? Do the feds now all of a sudden overtake? I mean, think about some of the conversations and the optics that could be going on in this country. Now, one more political thing that I'll throw in. I thought it was interesting, certain candidates that I wasn't sure would be confirmed, Democrats haven't used their power, if you will, on them. I think they're saving it for the Supreme Court. In fact, I know it. And the Republicans, unless there's some maneuver that I haven't thought of, they're not going to be able to get around the filibuster rule for the 60.
The filibuster rule can be changed, though, and that is something the Democrats did it a couple of years ago in appointing and confirming lower court judges. The Republicans can just change the rules and just require a majority vote. So whatever the power they're saving, if they don't have a majority, they're out of luck.
And we are in this world right now where everything, we're going instead of, by political session or political term or even a presidential term, it's almost day-to-day news cycles. And it's crazy. I'm telling you, from this side of the desk to follow this, let alone the implications that are going into it. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to be joined by an attorney who is actually suing the President of the United States here. And this isn't some off-the-wall lawsuit. Some of the biggest legal ethicists are putting their names on this. This deals with an issue that they believe the man on your screen and the sons to his right and left are involved with unethical dealings and conflicts of interest that are, in their words, unconstitutional.